What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. It is Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. Hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. Back better than ever. Another episode, another show. We're here every day breaking down the NBA card. If we got games, we've got a show. I need a winner tonight. And as everybody knows, if you watch the show on the regular, I'll be honest, I don't know if I remember the last time I got a Bucks game right, to be real frank with you. But we're going to stop that tonight. We're going to get a winner tonight. Let's bring in our Tuesday guest. It's Martin Weiss. Martin, I have to say, our guests have been largely very good on this show. But with this series, I haven't got it right. How are you? Good to see you.
Man, I tell you, I have been just picking, you're the one I really got this from. You were talking about, I forgot who it was exactly, but a pitcher from Baltimore. He's like, you bet him every single game.
Oh, John Means, yeah.
John Means. And so I was just like, you know what? Jeff's right. When you have that advantage, you just bet it. You consistently bet it. You see it, you bet it until it goes away. We did well with the Steph Curry and the threes earlier in the season. It was just all of those. So I was DeAndre Ayton, double-double. DeAndre Ayton, I bet it double-double the whole time for this series. And, it's been this close each time, but it just feels like it should have happened. And last night, particularly, with Zubac being out and DeMarcus Cousins coming in and playing like a 15-minute period that I don't think that many people saw, except for maybe DeMarcus Cousins coming. Like, DeMarcus Cousins and Ty Lue, I tell you, I've been having what feels like the worst luck. Like, the ones that I'm hitting, I'm blowing out of the water. The ones that I'm missing, I'm this close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've hit the DeAndre Ayton prop every game in this series, the points, rebounds. It's 3-2. It lost again last night. It's just kind of flip-flopping. I don't know. For whatever reason, he'll have like incredible games, and then the next game he'll just not play well. Look, he had a double-double last night, but he didn't get anywhere near the 28.5. But it's just been a roller coaster with the NBA. I killed it at the end of the season, and then right at the beginning of the playoffs, and then it's really been like hit or miss ever since then. Trying to kind of figure out these Bucks series have been impossible. I did pretty well in these Suns in the West Coast series, but the East Coast has been tough. Last night, Clippers get a win. They had to get one. They were facing elimination, and look, Tyronn Lue seems to be obviously he's done a lot better job than Doc Rivers did facing elimination. They seem to always get the job done when facing elimination. They got another elimination game on Wednesday, tomorrow. Look, they're going to have to win another game, but this one's going to be in L.A., obviously a place that they feel comfortable in. Paul George, you got a great game from him last night, 41, 13, and 6, just an incredible performance. When you look at the rest of this team, Jackson played well, Morris played well. You mentioned Cousins. He plays 11 minutes last night, gives you 15 points, absolutely huge. Without him, it's probably not as easy. So you mentioned with Zubac out, he did a pretty good job defensively against, whoever he kind of guarded at certain points. These series become really difficult with these injuries and it's really just kind of a mismatch, man. But a nice win last night for the Clippers. They're a much better team with Tyronn Lue leading them over Doc Rivers. They'd have probably bowed out by now if Doc Rivers were the coach.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Like, I think Tyronn Lue is from a guy, because you never get the credit that you're like really supposed to for coaching LeBron, right? Like for being able to win with LeBron, I guess. But Ty Lue pressed every right single button, especially the way that he has just adjusted and the way that they came out in the first quarter, like Zubac is out. Okay, we find that out. What feels like minutes before tip-off. They had a little bit of time to figure it out, but Zubac was out, didn't have I wasn't aware that was going to happen. And I was even more in love with the Ayton prop after that. I'm like, oh, love it even better. So Ty Lue, instead of panicking or whatever, he just goes and he finds the mismatch is already there and abuses Marcus Morris in the first quarter of that game, and then DeMarcus Cousins coming through in the second quarter. That's really, in my opinion, what kind of kept the Clippers in it. Paul George had a great third quarter, but then down the stretch in the fourth, it was Reggie Jackson hitting big threes to really extend the lead. Now, to me, Jeff, the key to this game and the key to this series is Chris Paul. Chris Paul, since he's been back in this series, the way that they're playing with him on the court, it's not getting it done. They need to get up and down the court, and Chris Paul's is not doing that. But you can tell when the bench unit comes in and campaign is getting more ticked, in my opinion, they're just moving the ball more, or that's in they're doing a pick and roll with Ayton. If Chris Paul can't hit those threes, he was 0 for 6 from 3. If he can't hit the threes when they're dropping, he's like when they're in that drop coverage, then I don't know, they got to do something. That has to work, or Phoenix is going home.
Yeah, I'm not really ready to say that. I think you make some good points. I think they're in control. Obviously, Chris Paul, it's kind of been, and that's been the problem with some of these teams in the playoffs. They've had to kind of fix things on the bounce. Player comes back, you got to insert him back in. You're not going to sit Chris Paul or anything, but the truth of the matter is they have to, and we'll get Martin back. He had a pretty choppy connection there. I don't know what's up with Martin's connection. He always has the worst possible connection here.
Man, I'm actually plugged into Wi-Fi and everything.
It's weird.
I don't
know if it's just StreamYard today. It might just be them today. I don't know. But either way, the Suns are still in a pretty good spot. They got to kind of regroup, come back. But this is kind of what the Clippers have done. Faced elimination and come back and played really well. Another team that's facing a tough uphill climb is tonight's game between the Bucks and the Hawks. We'll get to that in just a second. Thanks, everyone, for checking out the show. If you're checking it out on the replay or watching it live, we appreciate it. I know a lot of people check this out on the replay, so thanks for doing that. Tonight, I've said I'm going to find a winner. Martin, before we get into the lines, before we get into the game, how have you done in this series? Have you felt this series has been easier than the other one? We only have 2 series left.
So I was on in the series until Trae Young got hurt. So then midway, I was in Michigan, so I was doing some of these FanDuel same game parlays, right? So I was hitting John Collins for 1-3, doing these wild, you see them on Twitter. People post $5 to try to win 5,000. Right. So I was hitting a ton of those, right? The Trae Young over 5 threes. I caught and then because, bro, again, the whole league plays pick and roll. Right, the entire league plays pick and roll. If you don't have a big man that can come out and guard a guard, that guard's going to have to hit threes. It's just basic math at this point because everybody plays the same way. So Trae Young, I had a feeling that he's going to come in and shoot those threes, and if he wasn't, he was going to get 2 feet in the paint. But I think after seeing, I don't think you'll see Chris Middleton. I think he'll come back down to earth. But after seeing Trae Young after his ankle, I just don't see Atlanta having the juice to get past it. But I was really heavy on Atlanta before because I didn't think Milwaukee was going to be able to adjust.
Yeah, it seems like Atlanta's running out of gas. Let's get into it here. Atlanta getting 6.5 here at home, kind of facing a tough spot. Must win, really. You really don't want to fail to win either game down in your building. You're going to get probably the best effort, but you got to wonder, what does Atlanta have at this point? I mean, they seem like a team that's a bit broken, if you will. But I will say there's some reason for optimism. In 39 minutes, Trae Young had 35 points the other night. He did what he had to do. They just need to get more out of Collins, Herter. I mean, Collins was in foul trouble the other night. Herter, he needs to shoot the ball better. I think you need to get a bit more out of the bench. Look, not having a healthy Bogdanovich has hurt. That's not ideal.
He's been bad.
When you don't have someone like him, it really hurts. Defensively, they've somewhat figured out Trae Young. But this is still a Hawks team that largely hasn't shot the ball real well. This is a team that during the regular season shot 3 at 37%. The last 3 games, they're shooting it at 30%. So they need to get, I think, back up closer to their average. I think if they can do that, they're going to be obviously in this game a lot more. Trae Young is seemingly figured out every time, they either drop coverage or do something else. He seems to find other ways to get his teammates involved and just kind of make chicken out of chicken salad or whatever that stupid thing is. I think offensively, you look at the last 2 games, 102 and 91. Obviously, the Bucks have figured out a little bit of what the Hawks were doing and they were doing in the first game and then back into that other series against Philly. But I think you've gotten a Hawks team that, offensively, there's only reason for them to go up. And these are two games that have finished right around the total here. Okay, you just had two really bad offensive performances, and the total still almost found their ways over. This is a Bucks team that's had very little trouble scoring for the most part. I just think you've gotten two really bad games out of the Hawks. I think there's no way but up. And maybe I continue to be absolutely mystified by this series. I'm going to go over 218. I think the Hawks have had just some really bad games. I think offensively they're due to get a really good performance tonight. Obviously, it's a must-win. I think they have to throw the kitchen sink at the Milwaukee Bucks. And on the other end, Milwaukee's had no trouble scoring. This is still a team, Martin Weiss, that has not shot the three well really this whole playoffs. I'd have to hope they continue to get some performances out of, obviously, their stars. But what we've noticed in the last couple of games, Connaughton has played better. Bryn Forbes has played better. Tony Snell has given them an injection off the bench. I think the over is just waiting for, kind of a show out here. The first game went easily over this number, and the two games to follow were kind of right around the number, even with bad offensive performances out of the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm going to shoot for an over tonight. I'm going to go over 218. I think this one creeps over the number.
So what do you make of the Hawks offensively through the first three quarters of the last game? Or this is what I should say. Only really scoring about 17 points after Trae Young came back into the game with his ankle. Because I'm thinking like Trae Young is scoring. If Atlanta's putting up 110 points, Trae Young's counting for 50 of them or so, like between points and assists.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I have Trae Young in the camp of you always go with your gut in these kind of things. It's the playoffs. Trae Young will get some rehab, get some rejuvenation. I think, look, no one's 100% at this point, okay? Is he not going to play? No, he's playing. I mean, I think, even an 80% Trae Young, I think we get something good out of him. I thought he, ultimately was he was still good. You're right. He's going to have to obviously be the bell cow tonight, but yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's not ideal, but he's a warrior. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Okay, I just wanted to get your opinion on that because my mind and totals are tough. I actually did play the over on the last game. It was on one of my tickets. I had an over, and so I was sweating that one out watching Chris. Like that was part of the reason why I had that thought. Is like, man, the Hawks are having a little bit of trouble scoring without Trae Young being able to kind of move with impunity. But that was my little concern about it. But like whoever commented here said, I don't think you can trust a Trae Young prop right now. I don't think you can trust a Trae Young prop either. I think that like Trae Young, I feel like I had to stay away from things involving him in this game, which means I'm leaning on the Bucks, obviously.
Yeah, it seems, and I can understand your sentiment. I mean, it seems a little bit like, the Hawks are just kind of running out of gas. Look, as I said, to hit it over here, I think the Bucks are going to continue to score. They've, you look in this series, I mean, they've had no trouble scoring. I mean, 113, 125, 113. If we can get that tonight, this game's going to go over likely. I just think even with Young out, what that means is, and these commenters are making the point, other players have to step up. I think Lou Williams is capable. I think if Lou Williams plays 25 minutes, I don't see any reason he can't get 10 to 15 points. Gallinari's played well in these playoffs. Collins, I think even in foul trouble tonight, I think he can be capable. Kevin Huerter, I mean, we've seen him pick up the load. It was a bad fourth quarter for the Hawks. It just was. They were a little shell-shocked, I guess. If they have a better fourth quarter, they maybe cover and the game goes over. So I'm just hoping that things even themselves out tonight and we get a norm out of both these teams. And I think the norm with these teams is what we saw in game one, 116, 113, 115, 110. I think these games get into the 220s. I think 218 is a little low, so I'll lean on that. But you like the Bucks. You're leading on a blowout here, hopefully.
No, I'm not necessarily a blowout, but I think they're gonna. Well, I guess it is a blowout if you're looking at that spread of But I do think the Bucks by like 10. I think that the idea, and they kind of were slept on all season because Giannis was doing. I mean, but the Bucks have been playing well And you look at them and through the playoffs, you kind of can ho-hum the different reasons why, right? Like if Kevin Durant wore a smaller shoe, the Bucks would be at home, right? But the fact of the matter is they're not. Giannis is the anti-Ben Simmons, right? They both can't shoot, but he just is giving 100% max effort. He's driving to the rim. He's not letting defenses off the hook, right? And then, I tell you this: if Chris Middleton, when two things happened in the fourth quarter in Atlanta, Trae Young got hurt, and Chris Middleton woke up. It was like, as soon as Trae Young came back on the court, he's like, yo, Chris Middleton said, y'all got nothing for me. And so just being empowered in that way, if you're the Bucks team, for that, like your second guy to be empowered in that way, I feel like that's a dangerous precedent. And I don't see him coming out and having a slump after having that type of fourth quarter. I feel like he's going to be able to remain a little hot. And so I just think Milwaukee has a little too much firepower for Atlanta to hang in for this game, and for this one. Home underdogs off a double-digit loss in playoffs are 15-40 against the spread since 2016, which is interesting to me at least. But another one that was really interesting: teams off a playoff series loss as home underdogs when they had the lead in the third quarter, which is a mouthful, but basically when you blow a fourth quarter lead, which the Hawks did, 5-17 against the spread. Yeah, in the last, I think, 3 years.
Down, if you will, in the next game, that does, look, we keep saying, Atlanta may have run out of gas. And look, all I'm hoping for is I think if they can give me, more than 105 points, I think this game goes over. It's just that simple. I don't care if they cover. I don't care if they lose by 50. Just give me more than 105 points. I think if they could do that, this game finds its way over. 116, 106, something like that. I think that's enough to get this game over the total. I just think that the last two games, we've seen bottom basement offense from them. And these games still almost found their way over. So I'm going to hope this isn't 115, 91 or something. But,
I'm going to say, to your point, Nate McMillan has made adjustments throughout this playoffs. Like if you were counting on Budenholzer to make a change, I'd be a little worried about it. But Nate McMillan has made adjustments throughout this playoffs to get that team. I like the over.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can just kind of get the norm, the season stuff for these two, and maybe we see an outright track meet. Maybe Atlanta tries to run a little bit, get up and down, easier offense. I'm also going to go back to the well with John Collins over 9.5 rebounds. I played it the other night. He only played 23 minutes because of foul trouble. He still got 8 rebounds in that game. I'm willing and I'm fine with John Collins. I think he's a really good rebounder. I think he's shown that in his career so far. And against a Bucks team who, look, I know is a good rebounding team. He's had 8 rebounds the last 2 games. There's something tonight, though, that I find different about this game. I just think John Collins gets into the 30 minutes. I don't think he can play 23, 24 minutes. I think even McMillan, I don't really quite understand why he was held out so much in that game the other night. I think you have to take your chances with John Collins. At 9.5
he got a little bit of foul trouble early, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he only played 23 minutes, and that sucked. I think if we get 26-plus minutes here, I think he finds his way to get that 9.5 rebounds. We've seen him really go off. We saw him in the Philly series completely go off from a rebounding standpoint, but he was a terrific rebounder. I think it's one of his best attributes. I'm going to go back to the well with it and hope that he can hit that here tonight. You look in the last couple of years, he's had some great rebounding seasons. This is a good rebounding team. So I think John Collins really, helps himself tonight and gets double-digit rebounds. So I'm going to play with that one as well. So going to lean on the over, going to lean on Collins over 9.5 rebounds. And, go to the mattresses here with this one. I haven't had a lot of success in this series, but hopefully we, as a gambler, you always hope, things change, things kind of figure themselves out. So I'm going to lean on that here. You like the Bucks -6.5. You're just thinking season's wrapping up for Atlanta. They just don't have the weapons here. So
True, but I do like I like the matchup for Collins rebounds. I like the way that because if when you look at the primary rebounders from Milwaukee, a lot of times John Collins is going to be crashing in sometimes from that 3-point area where Brook Lopez is out guarding him, right? And so that's going to lend for him to be able to get. I like the rebound prop a lot. I like the rebound prop probably more than I like the over prop actually. I'm going to settle. I'm not going to play the over, but I'm taking the John Collins rebounds. I love that one.
Yeah, he just I think the last 2 games he just hasn't had the minute amounts that he's had in the other games, and I'm going to hope that John Collins plays more than 30 minutes tonight. I think he has to. They are kind of dwindling down when it comes to personnel. And the truth of the matter is, in the playoffs, when John Collins has gotten over, let's say, 28 minutes, he hits the rebound props. So I'm going to put my trust in Johnny Boy here and hope for an over here. So fascinating game, fascinating situation tonight. Atlanta does need him, says Joe M. I agree. I feel like the Huerter prop is due. Any thoughts? I've kind of moved on from Kevin Huerter. It seems like I hate to continue to be negative on this series, but it seems like every time I get involved with Kevin Huerter, he shoots 3 for 10 or 4 for 13 or whatever. I backed him in the Philly series. He was positive for me, but yeah, he's another guy. You're probably gonna have to get a lot out of him tonight because you don't have a fully healthy Trae Young. The props that I think you concern yourself with would be Collins rebounds, Kevin Huerter over, and Trae Young assists over. I think those are all positive possibilities here with the situation we find ourselves in. Jeff Wortman says double-double prop on Collins seems in play today. Yeah, that's another one. John Collins is very active. Generally is a guy that gets those double digits. That's one I'll probably have some interest in as well. So there's a lot,
and especially because
I have interest in.
Especially too with the rebounds, you get that double dip, especially if it's offensive rebounds, because he's crashing offensive and defensive boards.
Exactly. Yeah, we're very Atlanta heavy. I think with the Bucks props, maybe you look a little kind of more ancillary guys. Whether it's Connaughton or Bryn Forbes, and in a way, I'm kind of okay with staying away from Bucks props. I mean, I know Middleton and Giannis are going to shoulder most of the load. I think more of the prop angles are going to be with Atlanta.
I can't disagree with you more. I feel like I'm sorry. I can't agree with you more. I feel like everybody is pounding the Bucks every which way to center, and I still think that -6.5, -7 is the right side to be on. But I think all the props are going to be bad beat. That's just the way I envision the night. Every single prop going the wrong way for Milwaukee bettors.
Well, and look, it did the other night, I feel like. I think, Giannis, got 33 points. His total over-under was 33.5. Middleton hit his, but, by the way, and I don't usually watch this show, but I had it on this morning. Kendrick Perkins was on talking about Drew Holiday, and he was completely right. Where the hell has Drew Holiday been? I mean, this guy's disappeared. I mean, where the hell is Drew Holiday? I mean, and I think, again, you got to feel confident because he hasn't really played well, and you've won series against Brooklyn, and you're up 2-1 and hopefully up 3-1 tonight, and possibly with an opportunity to win in your building on Friday or whatever the next game is. But this is a point that needs to be made. Drew Holiday's disappeared. I don't know where the hell this guy's been, but he hasn't played outside of game 2, I guess it was, or game 1. He hasn't really played well at all.
He hasn't really been around since the Miami series. He played well. He played a couple. He had some breakout games. I remember talking to you. Hell, I was just going back looking through some of our old clips, and I was saying how Drew Holiday was coming into form for the Bucks down in Miami, and that's it. Really just hasn't. He's been. Not only has he been bad, he's missing wide open shots, and he's the type of guy that they that's what they paid him to be, right? Because he was obviously supposed to be this big upgrade over the Eric Bledsoe, Malcolm Brogdon, but he's got to be hitting shots, and he's a good defender, but he's got to hit shots.
100%. 42 minutes, 6 points isn't going to do the job. So there you go. I'm going to rock with the over 218. I'm also going to play Collins over 9.5 rebounds, go back to the well with that, and hopefully not get shut out. Martin Weiss is going to go with the Bucks -6.5. I didn't want to go really above 6.5 if I like the Bucks. I think you got a good number there. A couple other things around the league. We talked yesterday briefly about Damian Lillard. It looks as if Damian Lillard wants out of Portland. How can you blame him? This is a team that has had very just long kind of opinions on their coaches. They've given them far too much string, if you will. They're bringing a coach that I don't think Lillard is real fond of. And I think this sets up perfectly for maybe a Philadelphia deal. I'm not sure that a team in the league can offer more than Philadelphia can with Simmons, Thibault, Maxey, and picks. I think that's probably the most attractive package back for Damian Lillard. And I think that's what's going to take to get Damian Lillard to Philadelphia. And I think from a Philadelphia and Simmons standpoint, the Portland Trailblazers will try to sell that, okay, we've got Billups here. We can fix Simmons. He needs a smaller market. He needs a new lease on life somewhere else. Philadelphia is just not where he should be. We can figure this out. And they'll sell that to a fan base that's maybe not as into basketball as maybe Philadelphia fan base is. I don't know. It's just going to be interesting because the shoes are going to drop in Portland because Nurkic has made it clear that if Damian Lillard leaves, he wants to leave. Carmelo Anthony is towards the end of his career or at the end of his career. What is the future of Covington? What's the future of McCollum? This team, I think, is come and gone from where they should have been that they never even got close to getting to. And it's time to blow up what you have in Portland there.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I just don't think that Portland is they're not Damian. I think they're going to do everything in their power to make Damian Lillard retire a Trailblazer. And I know that it's like,
but I don't think he wants to do that.
They still have. He's got 3 years left on his deal, and I just can't imagine that. So like, there's 3 years left on the deal. It's not like he's Dame's in this big power of position of leverage, right? And if the Blazers do trade him, they're not going to just trade him anywhere. So like the Philly thing would make sense, right? I get that, but then trading for Damian Lillard, I feel like the Trailblazers would be excoriated for trading for Ben Simmons after what happened in the playoffs right now. And I understand that, like,
but you're getting
you can't be
a lot of
you got to buy high, right? I mean, you should buy low on Simmons, and all those pieces feel like some of those pieces feel like I like Maxey a lot, like I like Thibault a lot. I think those guys could be rotation players on really good teams. Like I'm not thinking that any of those guys are going to be stars, but like hell, I think that I think that they will both be playing in the Western Conference finals if if they were on either team. Yeah, I think they'll be getting minutes, right? But I would say this: Embiid and Lillard together, that would be amazing to watch.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
It really would. It would set them apart really from pretty much every team, probably outside of Brooklyn. The major question is, and this is the problem that you have with Ben Simmons at this point in this town, is what will probably happen, because I know what happens when it comes to basketball in this city. The Portland Trailblazers, like Houston, will say, we don't really want Ben Simmons. So, no, we're not interested. And the Sixers will say, okay, well, we tried, but they didn't want him, and we weren't willing to give up all these other guys. And, we're going to do this. We're going to give Ben one more year. We're going to put our trust in Ben. We're going to come back with the same team next year. This team has struck out time and time and time again. And I'll tell you what, they screwed up this summer when they didn't do everything in their power to get Kyle Lowry. Because I remember people excoriated me for saying I wanted to get rid of Thibault and all these guys for Kyle Lowry. The truth of the matter is, if Kyle Lowry was on this team in the 2 weeks ago, they'd have won that series. It's that simple.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're in a position of really no return because you need to hope Portland can sell, and they are interested in not only getting rid of Lillard, getting a haul back, but that haul includes Ben Simmons. You've got to hope that they're inclined with the other pieces and say, well, we get Simmons' defense, we get his possible incline offensively. We also get Thibault, who is a very good defender, can shoot the ball a little bit. Is maybe a down the road better version of Covington. And we also have Maxey, who's an up and coming guard that can score. And we have draft picks that we can find as well. So I think the haul is quite good. And I think there's a lot of reason to like what they're doing. But it's all going to come down to Simmons. And Simmons could be completely just, according to them, there's like 12 teams that are interested in Ben Simmons, which we hope Portland's one of them.
What do you make of Ben Simmons passing on the Olympics?
Listen, he'll try to sell that he's working on his game instead, but listen, I don't believe anything Ben Simmons says. I don't. I don't think. I think it's been pretty clear that Ben Simmons is a me guy. Ben Simmons doesn't work with anyone that's not his family. Look, I talked about this yesterday. There's a kid in college basketball, Mac McClung, okay? Played it,
Texas Tech.
Yeah, right. He has completely altered his shot. He went and worked with Drew Hanlon immediately and reworked his shot. Looks great. I mean, his release is incredible. Why can't Ben Simmons do that? What are we missing here? Like, why is this so difficult? Why could everyone on earth change themselves or attempt to change themselves? But he is just this guy that makes millions of dollars a year, and it's okay to enable him to be the same player. I'm sick of hearing about this. I don't care that he skipped the limits. Good for him. Whatever. Who cares? Does that mean you're in the gym with Hanlon working on your game after 4 years? I'm going to guess no.
Well, see, the thing is for me, and everybody says about like Ben Simmons, work. It's not about. I don't think he's about working on a shot. It's about shooting it in general, right? Like, we don't even see him shoot it in general. Like, wouldn't you say that Giannis needs to work on his shot? Of course he does. But I think there's something about the fact that he's going out there and he's attempting it, that it gives us a better feeling about the way it goes down, right? It gives us a better feeling because you see Giannis go and put one off the side of the backboard and then go and dominate in the overtime period. You know what I'm saying? Like when he didn't score on James Harden in Brooklyn, he turned around, put it off the side of the backboard, and then all he did went and dominated the next in that overtime period going forward. But like, that's the biggest thing with Ben Simmons that concerns me is, okay, I don't think this is about his ability. And I think it's a level of like his mental attitude, and I don't know how to do anything about that. I don't know what to do with that. Like, how many hours in the gym can you spend to not pass the ball to Thibault and dunk that right there? How many hours in the gym do you need to get that part in?
Listen, I'll say this again. If Ben Simmons is on this team next year, I will not mention the Sixers one time next year. I won't watch them. I don't care anymore. I'm done. I've washed my hands of it. Listen, as a gambler, you get to a point where teams aren't as important anymore to me. Look, I love the Sixers. I've rooted for them. I fell in love with basketball when I was a kid because of the Sixers. But the truth of the matter is, I'm just tired as a fan of this charade. I'm tired of the process crap. I'm tired of all of it. I want this team to go out and get a superstar, to come in and play with a superstar we have, and make a run at winning. Because that's what all this was for. The problem is, you made the wrong decisions. You've made a lot of bad decisions. Taking Markelle Fultz, taking Evan Turner, taking all these different guys. Like, it's not good. I'm sick and tired of it. I don't know where we'd be in this town if the Eagles didn't win a Super Bowl in 2018. It's almost sickening to think about it. And look, I look at the team across the street, and I think, slowly but surely, I think the Eagles are getting there, and I kind of like the vision. They were willing to go out and say, you know what? Doug Peterson, that era is run. We're going to move on from him. We're going to get a new regime in here. And that's another thing with the Sixers. It's like, Doc Rivers has been horrific. Why is he still the coach of this team? I mean, I know it's only been 1 year, but it's like, this is not a one-time thing with Doc Rivers. So, yeah, I'm just kind of tired. I'm sick of worry. Ben Simmons needs to work. I don't care anymore. Just get him the hell out of here. Go do that somewhere else. And you know what? If he turns into a great player, so be it. I'm willing to give up on this guy. It's been too long. I'm done with it. I'm just kind of wash my hands of Ben Simmons. Wash my hands of them.
I hear you, man. I feel you. I see. Like I'm a Saints fan through and through. Growing up, New Orleans Saints fan, and it's kind of it would be easier if like the last 5 years, the playoffs have been abject disasters, right? Like depending on how you look at it for the New Orleans Saints. And every time there's a thing you can point to as like, well, the ref did this and this happened, or Minnesota Miracle or whatever. But as all those things are happening, you're watching this team, this window just get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's like slowly and more and slowly, and it's like Drew Brees is getting older and older and older, and this is going, it's just all dying in front of my face. And like I'll say the Philadelphia 76ers, a lot of theirs was much more self-inflicted, especially with their inability to hold Ben Simmons accountable. And, Joel Embiid's health at different times and places. And I could see the flashes and all of this and that. But, like, I wonder if they had a guy like Daryl Morey, maybe at the start of maybe 2 years ago, how they would be looking now. Or if that,
every decision they make is bad. I mean, every decision. I mean, even the GMs, like Brian Colangelo, and, like, just the junk they've had. Like, it's just not good.
Yeah, especially when that email stuff came out about him. That was especially embarrassing.
It's rough stuff. Other than that, not a ton of NBA news. We'll kind of wait for the shoes to drop with the, all the different trades, and we had the draft coming up. Combine just passed. I've been kind of looking at some stuff there. This is a very good draft. I'll continue to say it. I think this is sneaky one of the better drafts in a long time. I think there's a lot of really, really good players, really at the top, even into the second round. You need, and look, I'll continue to lobby that the Sixers should hire me. I know everything about these players. I would bring in the right players for this team, but let me know. I'm here if you need me, Sixers. But let's wrap this thing up. Martin, tell us where we can find you, what you have going on. You're doing a lot of content. Let us know what you got going on.
So I'm at Martin Weiss on Twitter and Instagram. The Weiss Advice comes out every weekday with whatever my favorite pick of the day today is. You guys got a sneak preview. It's Bucks -6.5. Me and the rest of America, and the Lemon Pepper Parlay Pod, where me and Rob Parker go back and forth. That comes out on Thursdays, and I actually just recently started a new podcast. So let me ask you this, in which me and my buddy talk about life's trivial topics and insignificant issues. Right. So that's all I got going. That's the rundown, top to bottom.
What did you talk about this week? Any interesting things?
So actually, we're recording it tomorrow, so I can give you a preview of what we're going to talk about for next week. I traveled in between the whole time, right? So I went back to where we were from, Detroit, where we met, and did a whole bunch of Detroit things. So I'm going to talk about that. One of the questions I had that we're going to debate is the window seat. When you are sitting in the window seat, Jeff, do you have autonomy over the window's height, right? The window shade height. And where is the appropriate place for the window shade height to be placed?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm not a big, it's not that I don't like flying. I don't care. I think, if you got to get somewhere, you got to get somewhere. It's more of, I'm not a fan of, like, one thing about me that I want to make very clear. I don't like being close to other people. Like, I don't like people, like, when I go to a game, I pray, like, people aren't sitting next to me. I love the full, like, I don't, I'm not a big fan of, unless you're my girl or, like, I'm hugging my mom or something, I don't really want to have contact with you. Like, I'm sorry. Don't touch my head. Don't touch me. Stay away from me.
You like to have your own bubble. Yeah. Like, give me my bubble. Like, remember we were kids, you're like, you don't avoid other people's bubbles?
Yeah, I've actually, as I've gotten to a point where, maybe I have a little bit more money to move around with, I've actually had thoughts, like, once I fly again, of, like, just buying out the row, like, where it's just me. I don't want anyone in my row. But let's just say if I had people in the row. No. If I'm at the window seat and you actually reach over me and touch the window thing, I'm going to smack your hand. It's that simple. Don't invade my space. Just don't worry about the window. If you want the window, pay for the window. It's that simple. Stay away from the window. Don't touch the window. If you don't like the middle seat, don't get the middle seat. If you don't like the aisle, don't get the aisle. There's a thing on the airline thing called seat check or seat locator or whatever the hell it is. Take 2 minutes. Log in and pick the seat you want. You don't want to sit by the bathroom. Don't sit by the bathroom. Yeah, another thing. This is a great, interesting thing. So you mentioned airlines. How many godforsaken times do we need to see videos about people whining because they're on a Spirit airline and there's a fight again? Hey, idiots, stop flying on Spirit. It's pretty simple. Don't fly on that crap airline. Start paying $20 more and fly Delta. Listen, if you buy cheap stuff, you're going to get cheap products. It's pretty simple. Okay? Shasta isn't going to taste as good as Coca-Cola. It's pretty simple. I don't know why this is so difficult for people. Stop complaining if you have the opportunity to change it. It's like being fat. You don't want to be fat anymore. Lose weight. Okay? You don't want to smoke. Stop smoking. You don't want to fly Spirit. Don't fly Spirit. It's pretty simple. Why are we still seeing this? You people know what Spirit is. It's a low-level airline that offers bargain basement prices to fly. It just is what it is.
So I'll say this. I actually flew Spirit this weekend. However, like, you have to plan it right. There's a whole one day you and I will have. You can't just fly Spirit like it's a regular airline. You have to fly Spirit like you're getting on a Greyhound bus. You know what I'm saying? Like,
listen, Martin, I'm gonna tell you right now. There is absolutely no chance I would ever fly on Spirit. I don't care if I'm flying from my desk here to the kitchen. I'm not flying Spirit under any circumstance.
I'm not mad at you. Some people won't get on the bus. I feel you. Some people wouldn't take a cab.
The bus, like, I don't think you can compare that. Like, I think the good thing about subways is, like, I can go to a different train or whatever. I don't mind that. It's a quick ride. It's not 3, like, most flights are at least an hour. Generally, I'm not going to sit on the subway for an hour. The good thing now is we can get an Uber.
when I'm talking about getting on the bus, not to cut you off, you have a different perspective because you're in the Northeast. Most of the country, in the Northeast, like the train. If you're on a train, you're gonna be on the train. Like if you take a train from Detroit to somewhere, you're gonna be on it for a while. You take a bus from Detroit to somewhere, you're gonna be on it for a while. Well, look, like Philly, New York, Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? That kind of like corridor, I feel like is a little bit different.
Well, another problem we have in our country is everyone complains about everything. I don't want to get on a bus and sit for 3 hours. I don't feel like doing that. Well, then don't go. Sit at home then. I mean,
so I wasn't complaining about. So the reason I was asking about the window seat question was because I generally get the window seat, but I randomly got assigned an aisle. So I'm like, whatever, man. I'm not gonna. Whatever. Like most of the time I'll take most of the time I randomly get assigned the window seat because of the way I'll be gaming the system. But it didn't work out this one time, so I was like, whatever. And it was just an hour flight from Vegas to LA, right? So it's like this is not the end of the world. I don't care about this moment, but it put me in an interesting predicament because we were in Vegas and the lady lifted the window thing all the way up. Now, first of all, they ask you not to lift them up when you're on the ground anyway because it's hot, okay? Now, in Vegas, it's especially hot, of course, because it's Las Vegas. So the window seat is up, and I'm kind of like, and it's getting warmer in our area. And I'm wondering, I'm like, what's the play here? Because everybody's got the headphones on. We're all sitting. We're waiting for the plane. What's the name is going through security. Flight attendant's going through the security. And so I'm thinking, like, is it like next level for me to like ask her if she would mind lifting a little bit? Like, can we compromise here? That was where I was going. That's what I thought to me. That was where I was like, is this an egregious level of complaint, or should I just sit here and mind my own business? I tweet this thing out, and people are like, people who reach over and touch the window. I'm like, the idea of me reaching over this woman and touching the window on the sole occasion that maybe she was asleep, like mid through the flight, like if she had fallen asleep, then maybe I'll reach over there and touch and lift the window. But that's the only. I'm saying that's the only moment in which I could consider that happening, and I had to be in the middle for that to even occur.
Listen, man.
But like, that's why I've just started to ask people, like, how do you feel about this? Because I've realized that people have wide-ranging emotions about this topic, and it's one that I feel like I was very mild on.
Yeah, this is another issue. Like, we have to have an opinion on everything, and listen, I'm going to make this clear. If you actually disagree with what we just said, do yourself a favor, move the hell away and get out of this country. You don't belong here. If you actually believe that it's okay behavior in a aisle seat to reach over other people and touch something that you didn't pay for and you're reaching over, I will smack the hell out of your hand. I don't care if you're Mike Tyson or anybody. Get the hell out of my space. Don't touch anything that's not yours. Don't do it. And I'm not saying that's not my window, but let's be real. You pay more to sit there, okay? And I took the time to choose that seat. By the way, I want to say something about traveling, okay? There are people that have to travel for a job, right? Maybe, like when I was at Barstool, maybe I would have a job where there's no pandemic. Maybe I would go to the Final Four or whatever. Like, that's fine.
Right.
Like, there's things you do. You go to events, whatever. Unless you're going to the Maldives or Montenegro or Brazil or something like that, I don't understand people that spend massive amounts of money to go party in Miami. Or like, why? Like, you're going on a Spirit airline to go stay in some hotel you can't afford, to Google women that you're never going to get, when you could just stay home, save all your money, and go to a really cool vacation. Like, I don't understand. Like, by the way, the vacation thing, this might be a bad take, but unless you're rich and you can fly private and you can stay in great spots.
Oh, no, this is a bad take already.
No,
you
it's
saying it's
truly,
not worth it to go?
No, it's 100 times. No. What? By the way, let me tell you something. And this is a bougie take. This might be because I have good parents that had a shore house my entire life. But I used to look at these people that, and this is probably rude, but I'm just going to say it. I don't understand people that are literally going to spend thousands of dollars to stay in like a hotel, like a crappy hotel, mind you. And like, that doesn't seem fun to me. Why do you camp? People actually camp in weather.
No, I will say, all right, now we have
here?
now reached a place of agreement. Camping,
Martin, if
voluntary
you live in Detroit,
homelessness
you're
is
paying,
one that I can't go with.
If you are in Detroit and you pay hundreds of dollars to go to some bad motel in Miami and you spend money on women you can't get and cigars you can't afford, like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand that, but whatever.
I'll say I've been to Miami. I feel like I wouldn't say here's the deal. I'd say like you want to, if you're gonna go somewhere and all you're gonna do is drink the whole time and sleep all day and like be all about nightlife, then yeah. Really... But I would say though, you can also go places and experience things and do things, and it doesn't have to be a waste of money. Like I've never been on a private plane. Yet I've experienced tons of amazing things around the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying it wasn't worth it. It wasn't just not worth it.
If you go, no, and that's totally fine. I agree with that. But if your main goal is to like go places and just like drink the whole time and just like, I don't understand why that's fun.
No, then the thing is what you need to do, you don't necessarily need to stop traveling. You need to grow up. You need to mature a little bit and find some culture in your life. That's what you need to do. Understand that places and people have things to offer you besides all these evil spirits.
I never had these interests. I never did any of this crap. So when I was 6 years old, I was watching like, stuff that I shouldn't be watching. Like I'll be honest, I'm I've always been older than I am, I guess. I don't. I have absolutely, and like, unless I'm going on a vacation with a chick and like we're going some really cool spot, like where we can, like I see sometimes like there will be people I follow that are couples, man. Like they'll go to like Puerto Rico and they'll like windsurf and they'll go hiking and ride quad. Like that's cool. Like that's a cool vacation. Yeah. But like these people that literally go like two places in the country, either Miami or Vegas, and just like they don't even gamble. Like, at least go to Vegas and gamble and, like, maybe learn about something and go to – like, it's just, no, I'm going somewhere. I'm going to drink for 4 or 5 days straight and stay in some really bad hotel with, like, tons of people around. Like, that just doesn't seem fun to me. I've never understood, unless you're going to, like, a super dope club where you can get a table and you can chill and you can enjoy music and vibe.
No, now I'm agree with you. Like the nightclub life is not for me. Like, I'm actually going to Vegas next month.
No, the nightclub life is good if you aren't like I've always said, the best thing at a nightclub, the most intoxicating thing at a nightclub is the music. And when I was a kid, that's what I used to go to these clubs in like Seaside Heights. Some of the worst clubs, they're not even clubs. They're just bars that have a DJ. But they would have these incredible DJs like that would play this great music, and you could hear it. And it was just awesome. I didn't go to there to drink. I went there because I vibed, they had a good time, and the music was important. I'm not going there to get slosh usually. I think the music is everything.
No, I mean, it sets the environment, sets the entire environment. Yeah. But I like somewhere where the lights are on. Maybe a little dim, but on. Like, I need to be able to see what's going on around me.
Fair enough.
That's my personal. But one of the things I do want to go to Vegas, I want to go to the Mob Museum. So that's my one, like, I'm going to go see something in Vegas this time instead of just go and bet on things.
As far as I know. And shout out to the Mob Museum. Shout out to me. I have a show called The Sit Down. If you enjoy mob history, go check that out. Tomorrow is an interesting show. We've got a little bit of a different lane we're going in. One of the things that I knew I was going to do with this show is I was going to cover organized crime in its entirety. So obviously you have the mafia, you have the Irish mob, you have the Russians, the Albanians. But a lot of people don't realize there is a lot of black organized crime in America, mainly the black mafia in Philadelphia. You have drug gangs, BMF, people like Frank Matthews and Bumpy Johnson. There's a guy in Philadelphia, Kabani Savage. He is probably the most dangerous drug dealer in the history of this country. We talk about his truly disturbing behavior, some sinister things he did. His idea was, if anyone is going to witness against me, my goal is not only to eliminate them, but to eliminate their entire family. And he would do that, sadly. We'll talk about that and more tomorrow on the show. So I urge you to check that out. It's a really good one. So, Martin, a really good conversation. My guess is maybe you should have me on the show at some point so we can talk about all these things. I would be interested in that if you ever want to have me. But great to hear from you as always, man. Doing your thing. Thanks for coming on.
All right, we're definitely gonna get you on. We're just getting our flow together, me and him. So let us get our thing together. We're definitely gonna get you on and start having guests on, especially because we want to start doing them kind of like live. Well, we are doing them live like this, but we want to do them live on Twitch and try to like make them a more of a show with comments and more of an active viewership. So like we'll definitely be able to bring you in and bring and get to it and get these opinions going and flowing.
Thanks for coming on as always. I appreciate you. Good luck all of you in the NBA tonight. He likes the Bucks. I'm going to go with the over 218. I like the John Collins over 9.5 rebounds as well. Enjoy the game. Good luck. Hopefully I get some winners here. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Hoops Betting Hour. Have a good night. Bye-bye.